There is something seriously wrong with Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus.
I don't even remember her name, honestly.
You might be thinking we are talking about his narcissistic personality,
Ha 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 ha, how wholesome.
or the fact that he is a shitty human being. But you would be wrong on all points.
I blame you for this.
What we are referencing here has to do with the secret Gooseworx has been trying to let everyone know, but no one seems to care to listen to the show's creator. This problem is so dark, it will have implications for other characters from the show, and we are sorry to break it to you, but some of you are not going to like it. We know some of our viewers are already saying there is nothing we can say about Jax that will make them stop loving the character, but let's see if they still hold that belief by the end of this video.
Ooh, a new AI. You don't want to mess with the new AI, Zuby?
Yeah, no.
Without wasting any more of your time, we'd like to take you back to a cute scene from the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, where Jax and the rest of the gang meet Princess Lulalalu for the first time.
You must be the brave knight sent to us by God to help us with our recent catastrophe.
After telling them about her kingdom's syrup situation, Lulalalu gives them a pumped-out semi-truck to pursue the bandits who stole the kingdom's sweet maple. On seeing the war rig, Jax's first words are, violence.
Ooh, violence.
What time period is this supposed to be again?
Here's the key back into the kingdom for when you've secured the goods. I trust you not to let it fall into the wrong hands.
You can count on me, Your Highness.
With everything we know about the character, it's not a surprise that the rabbit would jump at the chance to run over some innocent NPCs, but it's what he does next that really makes it clear that something is terribly wrong with Jax. As soon as he gets in the vehicle, he checks out the horn, and as soon as he hears the sorry excuse for a horn, he switches seats and gives control over to Gangle. To the average viewer, Jax not wanting to drive is nothing special, but those of us who have dedicated hundreds of hours going over every detail of the show know it's not like Jax to give up control to another character. You might make up explanations like the horn was a letdown, so he had to trade places with Gangle, but we wonder what would be your explanation for what happened during the chase scene. And just so you don't miss anything, we will be pointing out all the moments Jax betrays his core personality. As soon as they get on the trail of Gummy Goo and his gang of syrup thieves, Jax tells us of his big plan to shoot the thieves with his shotgun until they are unrecognizable. And while that sounds horrific, it's probably something the average Jax fan does on a weekend. The concerning bit happens when he grabs Pomni by the throat and throws her overboard, before fishing out a freaking bazooka to take out everything in sight. As soon as Gummy Goo's truck branches over to take the rocky path, Jax begins to go crazy and bullies Gangle into following them into dangerous terrain. We have seen Jax belittle and bully other characters in the show, but this time, it feels quite different. Almost as if he was chasing an adrenaline rush and he wasn't going to let anything get in his way.
Oh, these fellas just don't know when to quit.
Jax continues putting the crew into dangerous situations time and time again. And if we didn't know any better, we would think Jax wanted a way out of the circus, but we know circus captives can't die, so there is no suicide option. Despite the war rig battle going on between the two groups, Jax becomes angry with everything, and you can clearly see his angry face as his truck plummets into the chocolate stream. He only gets happy when they discover the fudge monster, and he learns of the monster's murderous intent toward the citizens of Candy Canyon. He quickly makes a deal with the fudge to give him access to the kingdom if he helps them catch the bandits. Sure enough, Pomni returns with Gummy Goo, and they end up with 2 trucks filled with syrup. When they get back to Princess Lulalalu, everyone seems happy that the heroes returned safely with the syrup tanker. But Jax is the only one annoyed by how easy it is. If that doesn't give you serial killer vibes, you might want to check yourself into Arkham Asylum right this moment. Unfortunately for the NPCs, what should have been a happy ending for all parties soon evolved into a bloodbath when Jax revealed he left the gate open. Since he wasn't going to get the gore and violence he craved, he settled for having the citizens of Candy Canyon Kingdom being eaten by the fudge. We know it's easy to excuse Jax's behavior by saying the characters are just NPCs and there is no need to worry about soulless creatures, but it makes you wonder if Jax is still human. Before we continue talking about Jax's erratic behavior, we have to talk about what Gangle is hiding from Ragatha. We know it has something to do with a figurine, and it's so bad that Gangle would blindly follow Jax because she doesn't want Regatha to find out. Unfortunately for the viewers who were itching to know Gangle's darkest secrets, Jax doesn't get the time to say anything about it as the truck fight rages on. If you want to know what it feels like to be part of a crazy community that loves discovering new details about the Amazing Digital Circus, you have to subscribe to the channel and smack that notification button to stay one step ahead. We know Jax has always been an awful guy, but in the first episode, he was more of a character who loved jokes at the expense of others. We can go into a full 1-hour video on how the circus has twisted Jax into this nonchalant menace who only gets satisfaction whenever he sees others suffer, but we only have time to talk about the implications of Jax's sudden shift to the dark side. It goes without saying that if he keeps treating his fellow circus members cruelly, he might end up causing someone to abstract, and you don't need to be a genius to know that Nagel or Ragatha would be the first to go. At this point, we need another character to put Jax in his place because Zubul and Kane clearly don't care about Jax's pranks. Nobody seems to care about the effects of letting Jax do whatever he wants, and it is already turning him into a monster. In the second episode, it almost feels like Jax is becoming more aggressive and dark. It might be hard to see at first since he still tries to be funny, but his actions later on in the show expose just how twisted he has become, and we can't overlook it. Even if you're one of those delusional fans who believe Jax will never abstract, we'd like to point you to the final scene where Zubul gives Kaufmo a befitting send-off. In a blink, and you'd miss it, moment Jax becomes sad about Kaufmo going berserk, which is something we never thought the rabbit would ever do. Even though it only lasts a few seconds, you may look at it as Jax showing his human side for once, but this isn't a video where we cut Jax some slack. When we look at that moment, all we can see is a character acting strange because he is almost at his end, and he is being reminded of the fate that awaits him. If you think everything we just said has no substance, you might want to watch the second episode of the show in slow motion to pick out all the subtle signs Jax gave off throughout the 25-minute episode. We know some die-hard Jax fans may say Gooseworx made Jax less comedic and more violent as a way to establish how awful he is, but they are all missing the point of the show. Jax has always been a terrible guy, but his kick-ass jokes and beautifully crafted pranks made it so easy to fall in love with the character, which is why he is in a pretty dangerous position. In a perfect world, most Jax fans should see the signs clearly, but we know that is never happening. There are many ways the show's creator can send viewers on a downward spiral into a mental breakdown, but one surefire way to do this is to make Jax abstract. Gooseworx has repeatedly stated that Jax is one of the few characters in the circus who deserves to be locked away forever, so making him go insane should feel like poetic justice. The last time we heard of a character acting erratic, they ended up going abstract and being dumped in the cellar. Jax is already showing signs of bending to the dark side, and with the show being as unpredictable, he might be displaying signs of early abstraction. If we are right, Jax will continue on a downward spiral till he gets to the point where his room is completely covered with incomprehensible scribbles. As certified Jax haters, we look forward to the day Jax joins Kaufmo in the cellar. But before he goes completely crazy, other characters are going to endure some wild pranks as he loses his mind. We certainly don't want to take over characters with him as he goes over the edge, so we hope there is still hope for Jax. Seeing all of Gooseworx's posts about Jax being the most vile character you could ever imagine, we know there is no hope, so you might want to strap in for the ride. It may be too late for Jax, but maybe it's not too late for you, so it's in your best interest to check out our other videos by clicking here. If you really want to fortify your mind and be a true master of the circus, like Kinger, you might want to follow our channel. Trust me, there is no way you can get out of the simulation alone.